Okay, here we go, here we go. Whoa. Look at this. This is a scientific dream right there. I don't know exactly how much debt we commit to trying to get that spot, but that spot is crazy. Like, look at all those resources. Another option is to just be super rude and drop robotic in the middle of it. I don't know. We could also even just go expansive in here, and it would be totally fine in a lot of ways. It's very tempting to just drop expansive right in here and see what we can do with that. It's not the perfect expansive spot if I drop right there, but it's pretty good. And I really would like it in a lot of ways. Some real good tiles there. Okay, a robot found it elsewhere with really, really high levels of debt. That's unfortunate for them, I suppose, but okay for us in a lot of ways. Let's go ahead and throw down. Drop a couple of mines, and then get that aluminum going across the map. See if we can just get all that done. Grab up plenty of steel because we took a whole bunch of iron and water out of the ground. Makes it easier for us to go ahead and buy that steel immediately and then move into this aluminum as well. I don't know if this spot was really worth that much debt, but it's something I'm trying to experiment with. I failed on selling carbon and silicon, but that's fine. I am trying to experiment with going ahead and founding a bit more aggressively in debt and trying to find that line. So that's what you're seeing today, is some of that going on. We are expansive, so I'm just going to grab another aluminum tile because I see some aluminum being collected. Not a huge, ridiculous amount, but I have those extra claims, basically. So I'm going to be trying to abuse that. It should also be noted, yes, we took less iron than we could have. However, we got the water tiles with it. That should be fairly obvious why that's strong. Just this idea that if iron drops low, then we can transition it to water very easily. There's a lot of value in that. Shouldn't be any real surprise. Okay, an auctioned tile. That's a pretty decent tile in a lot of ways. But I don't really want any more debt. I'm hoping these guys push it around a bit, and I can just sit back and watch that happen. Herbert is going to need to be watched. Herbert founded too early and is quite likely dead. So we are going to need to look into potentially trying to make a lot of money up front rather than trying to get through expansions just to try and stop Herbert's death from running away with it, you know. Herbert trying real hard to die. He's working very hard at it. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out for him. We're also selling iron pretty aggressively right now, even though the price is very low, because this player in particular is trying to sell iron in order to get to an expansion, so it'll hurt him quite badly to have that iron price be very, very low as he's trying to upgrade. So we just keep selling iron and aluminum, and it hurts him quite badly. This scientist has also committed into aluminum, so it's not that bad to just go ahead and keep selling this aluminum to try and stay in a fairly strong spot. Silicon, we do not have real... Okay, we do have decent silicon right here. Never mind. I was looking around, I wasn't seeing anything, and I was like, what are we going to do about silicon, if anything? Turns out we don't really need to worry about this. Okay. Fairly good start going for us. I'm still nervous about the fact that we are not making enough money in my mind. Like, in my opinion, we just are not making near enough money. We cannot commit to super long-term investments right now. We're not going to make money off of power for a long time either. That was not necessarily the best idea, going for power right now, when we know we're going to need to bring down Herbert. The trick is going to be stopping Clark from making that buy happen. Now, he's going for a geotherm, which is really nice for us in a lot of ways. It's really good to see him going ahead and going for a geotherm. We're going to grab a goon squad and see about using that in combination with an adrenaline boost on maybe some food at HQ level 3 and see if we can use that to bring down Herbert. That's just going to be the play we have to make. We're expansive. We're trying to take advantage of that fact by tearing through upgrades. We just have to be a little bit careful about it is all. But we will go for this upgrade basically the moment we can. Throw down, not quite yet because we need just a little extra steel for these farms. But basically about now should be okay. We expand, we throw down farms, and we get down just a little extra power if we can at all, is what we'll be heading for. All right, just a little more power, please. It's going to be... Power's a bit expensive, let's be honest. And then we'll try to get an adrenaline boost down when we can. Or sorry, silicon's a bit expensive at the moment. These are kind of hurting us a lot. They're not really making us money anymore. Should be able to get down that solar panel now. Thank you. We will go ahead and goon squad our farms. That's the way we're trying to make money. Okay, these are pirates. These are actually pirates this time. There is a scientist in the game, so I'm going to bet on these a little bit. A little bit, but not much. I'll push this to maybe 10. Okay, the scientist expanded. That's great for us in a lot of ways. Let's grab up this adrenaline boost. Okay, we got it for 7, it looks like. That's really nice, because if this scientist tries to throw down things away from himself, we will be able to easily take advantage of that. We are going to go ahead and adrenaline boost our farms. Make sure those stay active. And now is when we start trying to head for that purchase on Herbert, because he is very, very cheap. So, we need about 42,000 to finish him off. We're making a decent amount per second. Not quite able to 100% chain these stock buys. And we should also be looking at moving into these water pumps here that we had planned on earlier. So, let's see what we can get bought up of Herbert. Need 4,000 for that last little stock. Should be okay. Both of these water pumps, not quite enough to deal with our farms yet, but that's because our farms are boosted. So that's okay in a lot of ways. 36,000 is what we would require to finish him off. We do, however, need to be concerned about our own situation right now. Let's see. We do have farms down over here, so we're going to be watching to pirate those before too terribly long. There's also silicon coming in over there. Something to consider. Let's grab an extra claim because I do want a little more power down. If I can pull that off, just to kind of help out with that. We can see that's not really being kind to us right now. We might even be able to toss down another adrenaline boost on all that power. Might be worthwhile. Alright. Oh, those even got boosted. That's really nice for us. So we're just going to drop down pirates right now as that food tries to come in. Should be quite helpful. What happened to our aluminum right now? Oh, they're turned off. We turned them off because we turned them off at the same time we turned off the iron. That was a terrible idea. It explains a lot, but it was a terrible idea. Okay, now the question is, do we concern ourselves with managing to buy up Herbert, which would be a nice boost, or do we go for upgrades and buying up our own stock? I am thinking we try to maybe buy up our own stock in the moment. We are maybe making enough to make, say, 5 stock buys is what we would really want. The other option, if we go for an upgrade, upgrades are kind of cheap right now, besides for the glass component is the thing. So that's why I'm almost thinking we buy a claim, we toss it down on some silicon. Why would I take that silicon? I'm not an idiot. And we can even go for this claim auction fairly easily. This would give us 2 silicon tiles, which is really nice. 2 silicon tiles is really nice right now. Obviously, those would be making us a lot of money. And then maybe afterward, we will be able to throw down glass fairly easily. Just some decent glass production. But we definitely want to secure a significant amount of our own stock before we try and finish off Herbert, because Herbert isn't free. Herbert isn't free by any means. We just committed a lot of money to him early on to almost guarantee we'll be able to get the buy later as long as we don't heavily misplay anything. It's basically the situation we're in. We're also going to go ahead and transition into some chem labs because chemicals are looking pretty nice. You can see our debt is still doing just fine. We're at a B rating right now, which is not bad. Not bad at all, so I will take it. I think we won the auction for 14,000, so let's go ahead and use it on a little more silicon income. Should be fine. I really should have tried to steal silicon from him instead of focusing on the food. That was a terrible decision. I was just locked in on the idea of what I wanted to do, and I didn't pay attention to what actually should have been done. Terrible decision. Absolutely wretched. Let's go ahead and upgrade. We could commit to a little more silicon. I don't know if I really want to. The upgrade probably was actually a bad decision in a lot of ways, but it does let us kind of keep our steel running a bit more easily in the moment. And the other thing we can do with this is maybe just secure a couple of nice carbon tiles, considering there's no scavenger in the game. And then we save the other claims for the moment while we buy up a significant amount of our own stock. So 24,000 is what Clark has. He's going to need a lot more than that to buy out Herbert. So that's good. That's very strong for us. We'll just keep buying up our own stuff. And we're watching to kind of see when we should put down these glass furnaces. We could, in the short term, always just throw down electrolysis reactors, however. Might be a slightly better idea for the moment. Throwing all those down. We're going to hit a Control-Shift down just to kind of simplify everything for ourselves. Yeah, I kind of like the reactors. Farms wouldn't be bad in this at this moment either. But the reactors are certainly going to be a bit stronger. Chem Lab's making okay money. Everything's making decent money. None of it's super great money, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be super great money. As long as we can get our opponent purchased, there we go. He was starting to finally death spiral out right in that moment. So that's why we went ahead and bought him before securing that last stock of ourself that I wanted. Interestingly enough, we pick up an engineering lab with this, and I'm going to go ahead and do the chem play for now. With the lab, we'll go ahead and upgrade chems a bit and then keep selling them out. Then I'm going to buy, I think, one more stock in myself. There we are. This is all very awkward and not good in a lot of ways, but that's kind of what you expect when you buy a player who is dying. And then we're going to maybe transition out of some of this water and move it into some iron for the moment. There's no iron under this guy. He already had a little iron coming in, but it wasn't quite enough. And the virtual reality is actually really strong right now, in my opinion. Like, this could make for a really good building. A pleasure dome right now could work out very well. 14,000, I think we would be okay with taking it for 14. 16 is starting to kind of push it, and if he goes for 20, we probably won't bid him up. We'll probably let it go, but we'll still build our own pleasure dome. Purely because it will take some of his money away if we build our own pleasure dome. So that should be just fine. Let's see. Let's go ahead and grab maybe an adrenaline boost and just pop it right here. See, I don't see this working any faster. I've been told this works faster. I don't see it working faster as long as the time left isn't lying to me, because the seconds are continuing to count down at the rate that one would expect, and they never moved in the moment that I dropped the building. So let's get that. Oh, I bought a little more stock on myself than I intended to, but that's okay. We'll hit the upgrade on steel. Should be okay. We can see water's still going really strong, and so is iron. So maybe what I do is I just toss down some iron there. I maybe move back into my water here. That should be enough iron to kind of work acceptably. We get down a little more power. We find a spot to plant a pleasure dome. Right there should be the most valuable. We try and keep it close to the neutral headquarters because there's an awkward fact that close to the headquarters is better. I find it, I don't know guys, I find it weird, but it's fine. And we would really like a goon squad. About 4 seconds ago. Would not have made all the difference in the world, but it would have helped out just a little bit. Teleportation has been acquired by an opponent, so we need to be a little bit concerned about him. And I'm thinking maybe we just start doing some more upgrades, though. Try and get into some of that electronics production, because we are consuming electronics pretty heavily. Let's see, no claims left, right. Okay, how are chems doing? Chems are still kind of making money. Let's start upgrading electronics. Hit the upgrade here.
Thanks to the infrastructure boost you approved.
And then just go into like a massive amount of electronics production. Bradbury has 2 off-world markets down, so we need to get him purchased before Clark does, if at all possible. We can see this is just like a massive race to buy Bradbury at this point almost. And unfortunately, we are well behind it because we kind of chose that moment to invest in a lot of different things. And that was not necessarily the best idea. In order to continue with this idea, we're going to need to get down another engineering lab, I think. Then we're going to need to throw EMPs at Clark to make sure he can't get this buy done easily. So 144,000 is what we have to push to. Excellent. Okay, an underground nuke we could use, I think. We could use it on water fairly easily. Okay, well, we got it for 7,000, so I'll take it, I suppose. We'll go ahead and nuke that tile out. Hopefully, our water will be a bit better in a moment. As we can see, the reactors are not doing so well, so we go ahead and turn those off for the moment as well. And we're trying to just make money off of mostly our steel, I suppose. The chem labs and our electronics factories, of course. The chem labs are not doing so well at the moment. The reactors, yeah, these ones have been losing money forever because they're just awful. These are just really strange tiles to try and deal with, honestly. But we're trying to just push to this buyout. I think we can pull it off. But he has a lot of debt to pay down, which is why we needed to shut down some of his production as well. This idea that he has a lot of debt to pay off, and all the debt he's paying off is making it harder and harder and harder for us to finish our purchases. Let's go ahead and keep electronics upgrading. That should allow us to turn our chem labs back on very easily. We go ahead and grab a power surge. We hit the electronics. 192 is what we're looking at right now. He's still suffering quite heavily from debt, trying to pay it off as rapidly as he can. But he's just not quite there yet, and we're pushing pretty hard for this buy. That shut down a significant amount of our income, but it wasn't a killer. We can turn the reactors back on fairly easily. Let's check these reactors. They're not killing us. They're not good either, you know? Just kind of the state we're in. We're about 20,000 away from the kill. I don't know if we can truly push for it, but we can make an effort. We can certainly make an effort. I'm worried about how much power is costing us right now. Certainly. I think I should make maybe a couple of transitions in here, just to slightly stronger buildings. There it is. That's the buy onto Game Slayer. That should lock it up for us fairly easily. We got these two Offworld markets. I'm going to go ahead and just... This gives him a lot of money with which he can buy our stock. But that's not the end of the world. Because we can buy his stock too, right? We can start buying his stock. And we already had a lot of our stock secured. On top of that, well, we have two Offworld markets. Let's make sure those are actually sending. We're just going to send food out of sheer laziness, I think, when we can. Start the food shipments. Come on. Do we really not have enough to buy up enough food to get this done? That's pretty crazy. But entirely believable. All right. Let's move out of this glass production then and on into a bunch of farms. We also have plenty. So what do we send instead? There's like not a lot else to send. I guess we could send a couple chem shipments while we wait for food to sort itself out. That could be all right. We could take a geotherm tile. Geotherms are amazing. Steel is awful, so let's move on out of steel. And okay, we got that for 8. I'll take it. Pop a couple of those down and then a patent lab. There we are. Grab this geotherm. I would love superconductor. That's kind of what I'm eyeing right now. And let's get these Clark buys done, these last little bits of stock if we can. Hopefully, okay, he did manage to secure one more bit of his own stock. I think that's okay. We're not even going to worry about our own stock at this point. We're just going to focus on upgrading. We'll start with water, then we'll head into food, I think. And we're just queuing all these up because I'm too lazy to scrap my chem labs. And if we keep buying up chems, then that raises the price. And then we can sell chems and I can continue being lazy. That's it. That's all it is, if we're being entirely honest. All right. Let's maybe get into a bit more food. Can we? I don't know. Water's pretty iffy still. And we nuked this water that we have now, so that's just funny. But I suppose what we could do, silicon's super cheap. We can just put down more power for the time being, I guess. Head to superconductor right now because superconductor is superconductor. And maybe go ahead and toss a mutiny this way. Because we have all those queued up anyway. Okay, is he... No, what did he mutiny? He mutinied an Offworld. Well, that just makes more sense. I didn't even think about the fact that he was going to be mutinying our Offworlds away from us. But whatever. That's what I get for not thinking about the fact that I had an Offworld. I really should have considered that in all of this. Just this idea of, you have an Offworld, maybe you should do something about it. Let's go ahead and buy an upgrade because it's super cheap and we can put it into this nice, easy water production, which is absolutely fantastic. We'll need to transition a fair amount of that later, so we'll save maybe the other 2 claims. But hopefully, well, we'll put down one more kind of food here just so, I don't know, so things are a little less awkward, quite frankly. Reduced by dust storm. Let's see, we've got a nice patch of farms here. Look how much not money our farms are making because of this dust storm. How ridiculous is that? It's all because of this dust storm right now, if we're being honest. 700,000 is what we're pressing to. Our opponent is going to need probably actually a fairly similar amount of cash given where stock is right now. But I think we're still okay. I'm going to grab a mutiny and have it prepared for when he does that. going to actually pay attention this time. And then I'm just going to start auto-sending food because, once again, I am insanely lazy. And then we're going to need to get food upgraded because, man, this dust storm is just killer right now. We got water upgraded completely, so we should kill that momentarily. Like, water should just die in a second. And then with that, we'll go ahead and transition out of a lot of our water and on into all of this fantastic food production that we can. So let's get out of all this. It's only okay. Into even more food. There we go. Keep it upgrading. We got superconductor established. Do we worry about anything else here? I don't think we do. If anything, it would be thinking machines, because we have been eating a lot of mutinies. And so maybe thinking machines is an okay decision. After food, we're going to upgrade chems. Should be fairly simple as to why. Take that back again. Thank you. And that should be just about the game pretty easily. Since we didn't make that many mistakes in the late game with our Offworlds, our food production is absolutely enormous, and that's just going to be the concede from Omar Little. All right. That's unfortunate. But yeah, it was an interesting little game. I guess the trick was that we were the first ones to really establish good, solid production, is what it was at the end of the day. And then we took that good, solid production and we just bought an extra player with it. And that made the rest of the game a lot easier. Gameslayer was really flaming out on debt for a while, which was interesting. I know I do that myself sometimes, but I always kind of wonder exactly how that happened. I think this silicon move was pretty important. Managing to get into that silicon was a pretty big deal. This glass was down for a lot longer than I thought it should have been, because glass is just so difficult to produce separate from your base as a scientist. It's something to consider, is that glass can be really a huge pain. And a lot of the times, if you want to put down glass, you should either put it down next to your base or put down silicon instead. Just a thought. Okay. Other than that, I mean, it was fairly straightforward. We made money, just little bits at a time, little bits and pieces from a few different sources, kind of at HQ level 3. That gave us a lot of stock buying that we got done, which kind of made sure nobody else got the buy done. It didn't give us the win immediately, right? Because Herbert actually defended himself fairly effectively. But it did kind of inevitably lead to our victory in the end. So yeah, it was interesting. All right. We can check here. Made money on water, food, chems, electronics. No big surprise throughout any of this, really. Just fairly simple the way it was. Went pretty even on power overall. Also not a big surprise. Clark made a lot of money on power. Shoot, I didn't even realize he was making that much on power. That's insane. How was he even pulling that off? I guess he just had a couple geotherms, and he never really went negative. I didn't realize that's where all his money was coming from. I should have. And then Gameslayer never made power and died for it. And Herbert, well, he was just dead the whole time. He never really successfully turned a profit on anything. And what he did mostly was make water. Not so good for a robot. All right, let's hop on out of there. Host up another one.